Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me clearly?
Microphone. Can you higher the volume, please?
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning. Good afternoon from Singapore.
Good morning, sir. How are you, sir?
Okay, I just got it. I managed to link up already. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Today is the World Ocean Day. We are going to have a webinar on this precious day for all of us. Welcome our webinar series 2023. My name is Ryan Jannat. I'm a communication officer in CIRDAP. Before starting our webinar, I would like to say a brief description about our organization. And you can see this is our headquarters, Chamili House, beautiful Chamili House, and this is the map of our 15 member states. And CIRDAP was established in 1979 on 6th July with the occasion, with the support of Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO of United Nations, and also with the support from several other UN bodies and donors. And we have three designated contact, we have three governing bodies, namely Governing Council, GC, Executive Committee, EC, and the Technical Committee, TC. This CIRDAP headquarters called Chamili House was established in British period in 1920. It was handed over by the host country Bangladesh in 1987. Now I welcome our Honorable Director General of CIRDAP, Dr. Karsak Birapat, to provide his remarks on this day.
Good morning from Dhaka, Bangladesh. Excellency, technical committee members, expert of CIRDAP, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of CIRDAP, it's my great honor and pleasure to deliver the World Ocean Day message of the Honorary President of the International Ocean Institute, Excellency Dr. Arnie Benham, former Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations, for celebrating Ocean Day, 8 June 2023. The UN Division for Ocean Affairs and the Law of the Sea, UNDOLOS, choice of the theme, Planet Ocean, Tide are Changing, for Ocean Day provides us with a reflection on how humans manage a common good for a good reason. And in the knowledge that the ocean is not only the source of life and prime modulator and regulator of climate, but also a primary provider of economic and social services to humankind. This gigantic body of salt water, which wraps around the planet like an insulating blanket, literally makes life on Earth possible. The ocean seas are the engines that drive the world's climate, defining weather and storing huge quantities of solar energy in the process. The ocean absorbs and stores carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Humans, however, fail to live with the ocean and from the ocean in a sustainable relationship. The economic and social welfare of humankind depends to a large degree of the ocean's productive sectors and services. The manner in which humans exploited those resources and services have been anything but human. with overexploitation and depletion of living resources, compounded by land-based and seaborne pollution, an existential threat to humanity became imminent. The international community became alarmed as to the future, and the issue was first raised by Professor Elizabeth Manbourgeois in the early 90s. As the ocean fell from the international development agenda, hence the creation of the informed consultative process, currently known as ICP, placed the ocean on the agenda of the UN with the participation of civil society. With overexploitation and depletion of living resources, compounded by land-based and seaborne pollution, has resulted in the current scarcity of affordable protein, making a mockery of attempts to achieve goals relating to health and poverty reduction. Regrettably, however, the human impact on the ocean through use and exploitation has been destructive and unconscionable because humans have taken for granted the sustainability of the ocean. In so doing, and despite decades of efforts to evolve a global and comprehensive governance regime, the ocean's fragile ecosystem was being systematically destroyed. The impact and understanding of the nexus of climate change and ocean brought back the ocean with the engagement of UNCLOS member states and civil society to the agree with an increasing concern on the interdependence of oceans and climate change, coupled with an increasing engagement of civil society. Hence, in the last decade, both the impact of civil society and the contribution of the UN system and regional and national commitment was prominent, as there was a changing tide in the form of a renewal of collaborative efforts to adjust the cost of engagement in ocean sustainability. It's evident that ocean literacy training and education play a part in the new reckoning. The oceans must come back on the multilateral cooperation agenda. In my opinion, that the age of ocean neglect, ignorance, and denial of an existential threat to humanity may be coming to an end, as the changing tides indicate giving all, be it a late return to multilateral cooperation in favor of a sustainable ocean on basis of a global commitment and scientifically based ocean literacy. Today, in multiple processes, as in the adoption and commitment to SDGs, especially SDG number 14, biodiversity beyond national jurisdiction, climate change and ocean nexus, UN Decades for Ocean Science for Sustainability, UN Decade for Ecosystem Restorations, the UN IPC consultation process, Ocean Global and Regional Alliance, WTO resolution of emission from shipping, ocean foundations, and an outstanding effective emergence of citizen science, global monitoring system, digitalization of ocean literacy, and other indicators as the IOI Academy and an engaged civil society place the ocean and sea at center of the sustainable development agenda and even on the political agenda. Only this year, the UN Security Council exceptionally addressed the challenge of sea level rise, which makes that theme chosen by Ocean Day, Blue Planet. Tides are changing. Very appropriate. Yes, the tides are changing, as evident in the UN Secretary General call for ocean champions to contribute to sustainable blue economy development and governance. Hence, the changing tide is that of governance, science-based ocean governance, inclusive of all stakeholders, accepting fundamental change and adjustment for the benefits of all humankind, and particularly to link all those processes in an ocean climate nexus of change for an ocean whose resource and service are sustainable for future of fourth generation to come. That will be part of the redemption we all seek to compensate the unconscionable damage and neglect inflicted by us humans on the health of the ocean in the past. The ocean needs all stakeholders' contribution by reaching out to build a broader community of human interests, intensifying responsibility, as well as ocean policies based on ethics, science, and reason in the protection of a sustainable blue planet for peaceful and sustainable exploitation of ocean services and resources. The road to end the culture of procrastination and the pursuit solely of private gains and greed at the expense of the future of our planet's very survival is to be mainstream in the changing tides. In turn, this requires all stakeholder voice and commitment as ocean champions to induce a change of the current narratives of shareholder value of the resources and excess in market efficiency to one of global benefit sharing that is both equitable and sustainable. This implies on all of us necessary initiatives to changing attitude in the education system and to reach out to the heart and minds of future generations. There's no question the prioritizing effort in ocean literacy is necessary to create a vocal and critical mass of advocates and to create a vocal mass so as we do not lose the momentum. The question is, can we make the required change and accept new ties? The answer is yes, we can. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful speech. Now about our today's webinar. The title of the webinar is Planting Mangroves for Multiple Benefits. And our today's honorable speaker is Professor Popo Wong. He's a visiting associate professor, School of Social Sciences, University of Adelaide, South Australia, Australia. So I will give a brief description on him. Professor Popo Wong is a citizen of Singapore. He got his PhD from McGill University, Montreal, Canada. Completed professional course on tourism, ecotourism, coastal zone management, and disaster management. He associated with major international and regional author in IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, 3rd to 5th Assessment, UNEP GO6, Asia Pacific 2015-16, COP sea level rise and coastal erosion in East Asian Sea 2012-13, IGBP, Megacities and Urban Regions on the Coast 2012, Millennium Ecosystem Assessment 2003-2005, Asia Pacific Network for Global Change Research APN 2003-2005, IGU Commission on Coastal Environment 1989-92. He is a course director in International Ocean Institute, IOI, Thailand. As a coastal geoformologist, he has emphasized his field study in more than 30 countries, particularly in Southeast Asia and Indian Ocean islands. His proposal on mangrove planting was a co-winner in MIT Climate Co-Life Climate Change Adaptation 2014 contest. To know more about his publication, his research interest, you can visit our experts.cirdap.org. Now, we all would like to know where are you connecting from. So let us know in our chat box your name, designation, organization. If you have any questions, suggestions, or opinions regarding the presentation or webinar, please drop by in the chat box. Or also you can ask after the presentation directly to the presenter. And humble request to all of you, please kindly mute your microphone during the presentation. You can follow us in our LinkedIn, also in our social media, Facebook, Twitter pages, and also you can check our www.cirdap.org. Thank you. Now I invite Professor Popo Wong to provide his presentation.
Hooray, okay, let me share screen.
Yes, and now you can share, sir.
Okay. Okay, can you see it?
Sir.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see very clear, right? Okay, can you? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
good. Okay, greetings from Singapore. Good afternoon from here because this is 1+ already. Good morning to all of you who are to the west of Singapore, especially in South Asia. And good evening to those who are located further to the east of Singapore. That will be in the Pacific and in the Americas. Now, I want to thank CIRDAP for the invitation to present this webinar on World Ocean Day. The title is called Planting Mangroves for Multiple Benefits. Okay, so you can see slide 1. Slide 2. Okay, what is World Ocean Day or WOD, which is today, right? 8th of June. And it's sort of an international day that takes place annually since 1992, because in 1992, 2 Canadian organizations, the Canada's International Center for Ocean Development, ICOD, and the Ocean Institute of Canada, OIC, presented or proposed at the Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro. The Earth Summit is a UN conference in environment and development. It's held annually, you see. And in 1992, you also remember that the Agenda 21 was formulated in 1992. Okay, so they proposed the concept there. The reason was that the objective was to move the discussion on ocean from the sideline, to the center of intergovernmental and NGO discussions and policy, and to strengthen the voice of the ocean and coastal constituencies worldwide. And that is why we have World Ocean Day on the 8th of June. Globally, they have coordinated efforts through the Ocean Project, the Ocean World Ocean Network, collaborating with many organizations and dozens of events. All right, from 2009, there were annual themes. Each year, you have different themes. All right, starting from our ocean, our responsibility. Now, this year, 2003 Planet Ocean theme, the theme is tides are changing. And this is what our Director General has said, we have to accept things and we must do new things, right? Now, some basic facts for those who do not know the oceans. The oceans cover 70% of the Earth's surface, but they contain 97% of the Earth's water. That's a lot. It's home to 94% of all life on Earth, but unfortunately, less than 10% of the surface oceans itself have been mapped properly. All right. But very important, as mentioned by DG, the ocean absorb about 30% of the carbon dioxide produced by humans. All right. But at the same time, more than 3 billion people depend on the marine and the coastal biodiversity for their livelihood. Now, this is a total population of 8 billion now. So more than 3 billion is quite a lot. It's more than a third. And the oceans serve the world's largest source of protein, with 2.6 billion people depending on oceans, for the food. Right? So every day I eat fish, in Singapore. Unfortunately, 40% of the world's ocean are heavily affected negatively, all right, by human beings. Pollution, depleted fisheries, loss of coastal habitat. And more important is, we may not know, 37 out of 57 critical minerals are found in the ocean. So there's now some controversy about deep sea mining. You know, some people say, yes, we go ahead. Some people say no, right? So that is the big problem. Now, today's webinar for me is more of a personal, it's a learning journey itself also, you know. At a very young age, I grew up in an area, I still live in that area where mangroves surround our coast. All right. So at the early age, I know what mangroves are. Although I didn't know the scientific name, we know by our local names. Because the primary school, going to the primary school, the main road cuts to the mangrove swamps. And I've seen the marine life in the mud flat, including the aftermath of a snake battle. To this day, I do not know why there was a snake battle there. It could be because of the battle between the marine snakes and the non-marine snake. I don't know. All right. But anyway, I saw that. And then I did, of course, coastal work in parts of Southeast Asia and Indian Ocean islands. And during the coastal work, I've seen mangroves in Singapore, in Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, and some of the islands in Indian Ocean. But I didn't have an academic interest in it. The academic interest started only after the December 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, in which, you know, it was a disaster in this part of the world. And then I went out to look at the mangroves, you know, because they said that the mangroves sheltered some of the coastal villages, etc. So I went there and studied a little bit of that kind of work in Aceh, in Andaman Coast, the islands of Thailand, west and south coast of Sri Lanka, and the east coast of India, the Tamil Nadu coast. And then subsequently, of course, I grew more interested in mangroves. 90% of the people work on mangroves which are in muddy environment. If you see that is the most common one. But I say, you know, I don't want to dirty myself. It's so difficult. So I prefer to work in non-muddy environments. And there are mangroves growing in non-muddy environments. And I subsequently spent a lot more time on Mactan in the Philippines and Bunakan Island, Indonesia, and various other islands to look at that kind of mangroves. All right. Now, as I said, I live in eastern Singapore. Now, Singapore is a very small island, small country. I remember, for those who know, Changi is to the east of us here, Changi Airport, you know, I'm somewhere here. This is eastern Singapore, all right? Then we have north, we have west, we have central, and we have south. Now, these 2 points, the square point here show where I live. I'm still living around here. I move around here a couple of times, but I'm still in this region. This star show my school, and this was the road that went through the mangroves here. All right, this is the mangrove, Tampines Road. But today, Tampines Road is not straight because they built an airport called the Paya Lebar Airport. So the road went up this way. And today, this is more an expressway. All right, the villages have all disappeared. Okay, but I want you to take note of an island here called Pulau Tekong, one of the biggest islands in Singapore, because we'll come back to that. Okay, so this is where I live. This is where I went to the school. All right, and if you look at it, there were mangroves around here. And I want to show you something interesting. In the Malay language, the local language here, the Rhizophora stylosa, for those who know Rhizophora stylosa, is the only mangrove that can grow on sandy coast, on beaches. And what is the Malay name? Mangrove sand, bakau pasir. You see, locally, the name reflects very well the scientific name, Rhizophora stylosa. All right. Okay, so this is it. Now, in the presentation here, I have something like 8 topics. The first 4 topics, mangrove adaptation, zonation benefits, and threats, are mainly just to show you the details of what mangroves are. Then I concentrate on the what I call the planting part. All right, under coastal protection, planting restoration, and then the modular planting. And then I want to end this whole thing with a note. All right, so let's go to the first one, mangroves. Now, basically, mangroves are tropical plants. They just straddle the interface between land and sea. You know it. Okay, fair enough. They're very significant because the branches are home for the birds, the reptiles, the mammals, but the roots are submerged some of the time when the tide comes in, and they're very important as nurseries for fish and marine mammals. Now, if you look at this diagram, you find that, let's say, if you look at the areas where the mangroves are very important, it is from somewhere the high spring tide to a little bit below the middle part of it. All right, this is where the mangroves are most prolific. You don't go right out there because the mangrove can't survive there. It's too sort of low tide. All right, this part is no good. So this part is good enough. Okay, this is the best. So the what they call tidal elevation, most suitable for planting. All right. Below it is not so good. All right. Okay. So this is it. I show you some pictures here, various locations in my work. This is the typical, the top right hand, typical muddy environment. You can see my mature mangroves, muddy. All right. This is low tide condition. And this picture is not so clear, but you see some creatures there. There are monkeys there, macaques, all right, on the shore, which is also a bit sandy and a bit muddy, all right. And some habitation was here, and I think it was sort of destroyed, you know, there are some vertical posts, all right. So this human habitation around. So let's see this. But these are other situations. For example, flying. I had the opportunity to fly over Sabah estuary, the coast itself. This is the estuary, and you see the mangroves. Part of this mangrove have a beach in front, longshore transport of sediment, so it's not completely muddy. All right. Then in Lombok, I was in a bay. I could see that there was a mangrove located in one part of the bay. Why? Because this was sheltered. This part was not sheltered, you know, and there was water coming up here, estuary, small river, so we got mangroves. Then, of course, we have what they call mangroves in front of beaches here on Mactan Island. This is a beach. All right, the beach is here. You can see the waves and the left over of the leaves here. Okay, the boat can come in here. There was a passage. Then this is mangroves growing on a coral flat on Bunakan Island. This is a coral flat. Mangroves are there, and behind the mangroves, of course, you have a small strip of sand. So you can see various kind of coastal locations. Now, as I said, I specialize or concentrate on mangroves in non-muddy environment. Here you have mangrove shores, sandy mangrove shores. All right, you see this? This is sort of a granite rampart going out. And here you have mangroves, all right? Seedlings sort of brought in, all right? Here, colonizing. Here, the rhizophora has grown a little bit more. You see the roots here, and this is all very sandy, all right? So that's in sandy shores. Then you have sandy shores on Samao Island, that is southern Philippines. You can see this is Avicennia, all right? Avicennia also, all right, here, okay? Growing on here, right? The thicker roots are Sonoracea. This is Sonoracea, the thinner roots. Avicennia, this Avicennia, all right? And there you are. But at the same time, you find that the growth is not very good because of the presence of seaweeds. You know, later on, I show you some photographs. Seaweeds and barnacles detriment in growing what we call mangroves. All right. So there you are, sandy. And then where you have mangroves on coral flats and rocks. There, you see a piece of rock there, the eroded coral reef rock. This is coral reef, and you have mangroves growing here. This is sand on the coral flat, and you have mangroves growing. This is rhizophora growing on mangrove rocks, you know, sorry, coral rocks, all right? And here again, mangroves growing on the rocks. That is your granite, which you put it out or for your ramparts, all right, or rubber mound, okay? So there you are. So it is possible for corals to colonize and to grow a bit slow on coral flats, rocks, sand, all right, and rubble, okay? So this is it. Now, in terms of the distribution on the world scale, you find that, okay, this mangroves grow in very sheltered areas in the area defined by the 25th latitude north and south, sort of tropical and subtropical coastal zone. There are a few mangroves that go right into the temperate, very few, you know. It's not that there are no mangroves there, there are some. And mangroves, actually I found mangroves good to study, you know why? Because there are not many species. If you study tropical vegetation, you have got a few thousand species to identify. Mangroves are 54 true species only. They belong to 16 families. And if you include all the other plants inside, there are only less than 80 mangrove species for you to study. And if you are in this kind of area, I think there are only 50. You know, you don't include the rest. All right. So there you are. In terms of distribution, you find that there is a bimodal distribution because there are two areas, sort of the Caribbean area, this one, and the one which is localized in Southeast Asia. You find that there are more species and more variety in the Southeast Asian, what they call the Eastern group. All right, there are some differences, okay, but this is the richer one, right, of the two provinces. Now, in terms of how the mangroves adapt to the environment and zonation, well, here you are. We'll show you very clearly. Mangroves are plants in which the roots, the seed, and the leaves adapt very well to the environment. Now you just look at the roots here, the rhizophora, red rhizophora. Remember, red rhizophora. B, go back to A, B-A, black Avicennia, white, the rest of it, Bulgaria syrups. All right, so this is very easy. This is taken from, I think, Indian website. All right, so you find the rhizophora, okay, red rhizophora, you find that you have this kind of roots. You find it, the Avicennia, you have this kind of pencil root, you know, going up. And you find the white mangroves, you have this kind of roots, you know, what they call the knee roots, all right? So it's the different ways of adapting to the environment so that the trees don't fall, you know. Then same with the roots, the details are here. Even the fruits themselves, you know, the long one and the round one, depending, you know, how much food they can store, you know, and also the way they dropped when they are ripened into the surface, then take root there and they grow. These are different. These can drop there or they float around, right? and all the leaves on the underside, practically sort of give up salt, So this is a way the leaves can sort of adapt to the environment, because the plants, remember, live in the sea water. And here are some of the roots to show you the adaptation, not only to the environment, but also to sea level. McLeod and some 2006 say that mangrove is a special root system and may adapt to changes in sea level by growing upwards in place, by expanding landwards or seaward. All right, and here you are, the roots. These are taken from the field. This is what they call Avicennia marina. This is the what they call Sonaracia alba, and this is the Rhizophora. All right, and this one is taken from a book. All right, the peg roots or Avicennia. This is peg root. These are peg roots, sort of thick. These are peg root thin, and we call them pencil roots. All right, these are called prop roots, and these are called knee root. You can see it's look like a knee. All right. Okay, so these are very sort of details you can see. And then we have another one, the zonation. The zonation is in terms of the vegetation. From the dry area, that is the forest or land, terrestrial vegetation, to the most seaward part, in which the sea level is mean sea level or lower than that. All right. So here, in terms of zonation, seaward, mid-zone, landward, terrestrial, right? Sort of very general. Sri Lanka, you can see lowest tide to mean and to the highest tide, or the supra-tidal zone, right? The salt marsh at the back. And then you have different kind of species here. Right now to Rhizophora over here. Now this one is more interesting in Indonesia, because they don't just tell you the what they call the species, but they're telling you different things, like how many times the places location affected by tides, a couple of times or 2 times at the most, and in terms of how many times per day. All right, well, there 365 is a maximum. All right, so this is, if you look at here, it's almost every day. 720 times out of 732 every day, right? So it's almost every day. Whereas here, throughout the whole year, this is during your extreme high tide, maybe 2 times a year. All right, so 2 times at the 2 days we had, so slightly different. So you can see the zonation here is this one: zone 6, zone 4, zone 3, and then zone 2, zone 1. So you can see this is a finer kind of what you call definition of the zonation. So this one is very general. This one is just a species for particular coast or country, and this one for particular coast or country in terms of tides, right? How many times? Because remember, tides can be diurnal, 1 high a day, or semi-diurnal, 2 highs a day. But number of days will be fixed, right? 365 days, right? So you can't go wrong. Now, people always ask, you find mangroves only at coast. Are there mangroves away from coast, from marine areas, or from the sea? Well, they are, but not many locations. For example, I found from the internet, there are 2 locations. In Mexico, there are a number of locations, but this is the one which is 160 kilometers inland on the Yucatan Peninsula beside a waterfall. In Mexico, Rhizophora manga. Now, they were able to survive because of a change in sea level, at that time. and they were sort of caught there, isolated, and somehow they survived. They survived because of the surrounding soil that leached calcium into the lagoon and the river waters, creating an environment similar enough for the trees to persist. So this is it. All right. Rhizophora mangla. And then in Pakistan, you have Abyssinia marina in an area isolated from the Kinja Lake, about 4.5 acres area, not very big. And there you can see this brown thing at the back. It's a low, narrow embankment as high as 4 meters, all right? And the mangroves, only one left here, 4.5 meters. The rest have been cut already, all right? You can see the stumps over here. Some of the trees were 10 meters, but they have been cut. And they were used for wood. And some of the mangroves, I understand, also used as the leaves for the cattle, all right? So there you are. This is the picture, right? So you can have mangroves which are found away from the coast, all right, but not many. What are the benefits of mangroves, all right? If you look at benefits of mangrove, basically they provide what we call ecosystem services, all right? Plenty of them, you can see. All right, basically coastal protection, fisheries, your timber for your fuel, water purification, tourism, and carbon storage. Well, those are the basic ones, all right? And in terms of the value and in terms of dollars and cents to us, well, you can see for yourself. Overall, it's about, in US dollars, 100,000 US dollars per hectare per year, you know, with the highest, I think, in recreation and culture and fisheries, about 37,000 US dollars. And the coastal protection is still considered very low, all right, because at the moment, coastal protection is still not very high, right? So this is approximate, but definitely mangroves have value. So they have economic benefits, or they provide ecosystem benefits. In terms of livelihood, here are some pictures which I've collected in the field, except for this one. This one is the tree climbing crab. In Singapore, we have this. You know, as a kid, I remember, you know, the shop doesn't sell this kind of thing anymore. They catch them, then they pickle them in vinegar and black sauce, and we buy from them and eat it with porridge. All right. These are your standard mangrove crab. Now, the one which is very expensive. In Singapore now, if you go to a restaurant to eat this kind of crab, the big one costs you Singapore $70 each. And the smallest one is $20. That's why we import crabs, this kind of crabs, from Sri Lanka, as far as Sri Lanka, okay? This is the environment, living in this kind of mangrove environment. I've been there, I've seen this, how people live in it. This is the, from the Nepal palm, you extract the leaves, and these are the leaves which are made into a patch for your rural houses, right? In the old days when you don't have brick houses, we use this. And of course, you can cut up the swamps there, reclaim the swamps and use for aquaculture purposes, all right? So these are some of the livelihood you have. More important, you have fruits. The fruits of the mangrove, the various trees provide various types of fruits. I was very lucky. I think I was in this conference in 2013 in Jakarta, and I went to a meeting, and there were a couple of stores selling what they call, you know, the noodles that you can make from the fruits, and you have the powder also, like flour, you know, grind it, and you can have the syrup, okay? And you can have the keropok. Keropok is your what they call deep fry kind of crackers, okay, and the syrup, all right, made from fruit. And for those who are interested in this, go to Mangrove Action, Mangrove Action Project 2006. This is available on the internet. Cooking with mangroves. There are 36 Indonesian mangrove recipe. Actually, not just Indonesian. The Cambodian provided a few, and also the Thai provided a few. This is a very important, interesting recipe book for those who want cooking mangrove fruits. And there I show you, you know, Sonarasha wajit, sticky mangrove apple, you know, Sonarasha dodo. It's a kind of cake made from sticky rice, coconut milk, palm sugar, etc., etc. Abyssinia crisp, you know, crackers, okay, and Abyssinia cake also, talamanis api-api, sweet one, okay. So this kind of thing you can look at it. The only thing is that the preparation of the seeds for the food, it's not so easy, all right? It's a very tedious but very important process, because you extract some of the toxin out of the seeds, all right? So you have to do it very carefully. The person who developed this is a British guy called Ben Brown, who can speak Indonesian very well. So I met him, and he was a guy who compiled this cooking book. All right, so go and look at it for those who are interested. There you are, preparation of Abyssinia species fruit for cooking. There's a picture, Abyssinia, Abyssinia from here. Abyssinia marina, yeah. Ripe fruits, okay, they are yellowish. You got to remove the outer skin, split into parts, remove the inside, boil the fruits in water, ash, stir until ash is spread evenly, remove from heat, clean the fruit until green is, the color is only green. Then they have to soak in water for 2 days, changing water every 6 hours, you know. So it's very, very tedious, right? Now you can say Abyssinia alba used for making flour for cakes, and Abyssinia marina for making dried crackers, right? So there you are, this is it. This one is more interesting also, Bulgaria. It tells you, you see the picture here, Bulgaria, you have this long fruits coming up. Now this one you can eat, okay to eat. Bulgaria gymnoriza is okay, all right. The other one also, Bulgaria saxagola is also, but don't eat these two, huh? You can pick these two, not for consumption. That's the Bulgaria flora and Bulgaria cylindrica. You see, so these two. So only pick this one. You can see this sort of this calyx here will tell you these are okay. This one, no calyx, no wind. So you cut into pieces, clean with water for 2 days, boil it, soak in fresh water, change water, etc. Okay, so this is very interesting, you know. All right. Now, it's interesting, okay, why? Because I have been trying to look at all these, what they call mangrove for food. And I came across, I wanted to do some calculation, how much can we use them? So I pick up information over a number of years. I calculated the amount of flour and the bread can be extracted, let's say from 1 acre of Abyssinia marina. Now, according to a source in South China, UNEP 2003, 1 acre of pure forest of Abyssinia marina can produce 750 kilogram wet weight Remember, the fruit has water inside, so it's weight of fruits per annum. All right, 1 acre per annum that it can produce. Now, if you want to take the water out, you got to. So I found a source, Sulis Tiati, Indonesian and others. They said that 35% of water contained in the fruit. So if you have 35%, you take 35% out away from 750 kilograms, you're only left with 487 kilograms of dry fruit per year, right? Per hectare, okay, which is fair enough. How much bread can you make? You know, now according to the usual cookery book, 1 pound or 450 grams can make 1 piece of bread. But you have 487 kilograms. I'm taking 1,000 of it. That's 487 grams, which is more than 1 pound of dry flour. It will produce a very large loaf of bread, right? And that large loaf of bread can be used as daily food for 2 persons. And you know, in the rural areas, people have fruits like bananas, pineapples, they have tubers, sweet potato, yam. They can be dried, and you can introduce this into your fruits, into your bread, and bake with it. So that is how you can produce your bread. So in 1 year, 1 hectare of Abyssinia marina can produce 487 kilograms of flour to make 1,000 loaves of bread, which can feed 2,000 persons per day, or 20 persons for 100 days. That is 3 months, right? That's my calculation. If I'm wrong, please let me know. This is my rough calculation. Now, do people use this for food? Yes. During World War II, the isolated coastal communities in this part of the world used Abyssinia species for food. And also after the December 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, yes, the coastal population did use the what they call mangroves, fruits for food. Of all the mangroves, I found that the Abyssinia marina is probably the most versatile mangrove species for food, as it can establish on a wide range of substrates. It has a very big, widest geographical range, and only species that can survive in very dry conditions and away from the sea. If you go to the Middle Eastern country, you find that the Abyssinia marina is the only mangrove species that can survive. Then, okay, what other economic benefits we can have from mangroves? Few may not know that the timber provide wood chips. I was also lucky enough this is 2013, to go to this place, PT Butini Utama Burni Wood Industry in Papua, that is eastern Indonesia, and it has a very large concession, more than 80,000 hectares. This is bigger than the size of Singapore, by the way, and is the world's largest mangrove concession, to obtain the International Forest Management Certification and to produce wood chips. You see my 2 feet are there, we wear special boots, and my camera case. This show you the wood chips. The wood chips are exported to Taiwan, China, and previously to Canada, Japan, for mixing with other species to increase the pulp density and the strength. All right. And of course, the company that contributes significantly to the local industry, employing 800 workers per year and contribute to the protection of the mangrove ecosystem. All right. They don't just chop, they got to go on rotation. All right. The other important part of mangroves is also water purification. Few people may not know, especially wastewater. The IOI Thailand runs a course similar to the one which Bangladesh ran, I think last year, November, all right, in Dhaka. They run a course and they also have the one month course, I think, on ocean governance. And they also have few trips, right? So in Thailand, that's in Hua Hin, one of the field trips is to the wastewater purification plant. At His Majesty, the King Initiative Lampak Diak Environmental Research and Development Project, LE, all right, in Phetchaburi province, right? And this is what it looks like, all right? The effluent comes in from here, all right, then it goes out here and through the mangroves area. This is where you walk through. And of course, the what they call wastewater is sort of purified, all right, or clean by the roots. You have to go to the internet to read out the little details of how the mangroves clean the water, all right? So this is a very interesting benefit from mangroves. Then this is, I think, from Pakistan or India. I think it's from Pakistan. Yeah, we know. Yeah, this is from Bangladesh. Rather. And then medicinal users. You have your plants there. You see, you identify all your plants. What kind of users you can use? Medicinal users of mangroves and halophytes, all the plants that are in your what you call salty area, halophytes. Okay, so then you have. Okay. Then another one is, of course, ecotourism. All right, which is defined as responsible travel to natural areas that conserve the environment, sustain the well-being of the local people, and involve the interpretation and education. The Australian national ecotourism also has something quite different. We say ecological sustainable tourism with a primary focus on experiencing natural areas, etc., etc. And then the resources are there, what benefits you can get, what forms, that is the way they organize, whether it's local, private, community-based, private sector, NGO, or government-based. But of course, there are some issues with the ecotourism in all these mangrove areas. We may have negative environmental impact, the garbage generated, the risk of turning into mass tourism, all right, and the offsite negative impacts, all right. Then last but not least is the importance of mangroves and the climate change. How are they related? Basically, they're related because it's a storage for your carbon. It's an important carbon storage, as the DG has explained. Now, in some places, you find that the mangroves are eroded like that. This Rhizophora micronata, which have been on eastern Indonesia, you see these are 23 years old. At that time in 2013, they were like that. But I was told that this is erosion. It's not serious because there's a heck of a lot of roots further down, and this is constant. And basically, this is the carbon sequestration of the what's it called? The details here. Some details. Overall, they account for only 1%, all right, of carbon sequestration by the world's forests. But as coastal habitat, they account for 14% of the carbon sequestration by ocean, all right, global ocean. So it's the carbon from the dead material that remains trapped in the sediment that is very important, all right? And this watery sort of carbon reservoir is what we normally call blue carbon, all right? And this is it, right? Below the carbon storage, which is very important. And then it corollary to this also climate change. The mangroves can keep up with sea level rise of 1 millimeter per annum, if higher, if conditions are of course suitable. And according to Wetland International, it can accommodate to increases of 3.8 to 9 millimeters per year, depending on local conditions. And the two graphs are Alonge 2008 and 2020. He puts in the first few data points, same here over, and it shows that yes, there can be, of course, a bit of variance here, all right? But nevertheless, it's this direction, okay? Now, of course, when you talk about keeping up with the sea level rise and things like that, it's not so straightforward because a lot depends on sedimentation. All right, mangroves can keep on growing, but if there are no sediments, you cannot, mangroves just keep up with rising sea level. Your surface itself must rise. So you need that sediment accretion, all right, and erosion, which depends on these coastal processes, and more your leaf litter, your algae, mats that can contribute more, and also below ground primary production, your roots and soil organic matter, whether they grow more, and auto compaction. As soil increase or material increase, there's some kind of compaction, and to some extent also your water table and pour water. All right, so basically. Now, mangroves are of course under threat. As DG has mentioned in his speech, we have to make sure, the oceans are right, not under threat. The biggest threat, of course, number one, deforestation. If you want to use a single word, all right, deforestation from AATU, aquaculture, agriculture, tourism, and urban sprawl. All right, and here are the details. Logging, you cut them down. Agriculture, you cut down, you plant things. Aquaculture, you cut down, you dig holes and put in things. And of course, the rest come from urban sprawl, your pollution, your coastal development, you build things. And of course, as you remove them, you lose, the protection of climate change, etc., etc. All right. And here are the details of how much is lost. 35% between 1980 and 2000, the equivalent of almost 150,000 annually, right? 4 times higher than the overall global forest loss, 4 times more than overall forest. And here is the vulnerable areas, most vulnerable areas. If you look at it, we are in the most vulnerable areas, all right? Southeast Asia and large part of the Pacific. And then you have the smaller vulnerable areas here. These are smaller. Least vulnerable, of course, this area. Of course, this part is least vulnerable because they take care of them very well. Now, in terms of vulnerability, in terms of what we consider as vulnerable, endangered, critically endangered. Again, you just look at these, what we call areas. South Asia area, Southeast Asia is here, and Western Pacific. But of course, they put Pacific, Western, Central, Indian, Eastern, all right? But we are used to this South Asia, Southeast Asia. Look at it. You just look at the 3, what they call colors. The one which is called vulnerable, all right? The orange one, okay? Then the one called endangered, all right, which is the brown one. You see, brown one, endangered, very high, 40, 33. And you look at the one critically endangered. Here you have 67, 20. Nobody else out there, they are vulnerable, but they are not endangered or critically endangered. This is the region in which we have these two other categories, endangered and critically endangered. All right. So there you are. If you look at this one, the amount of loss again in these areas, you just look at F, which is this area, Southeast Asia, all right, itself. Just look at it and compare. F, the loss is on commodities. You know, you plant what they call oil palms, you know, you can see this is compare with this one, G, which is Oceania, and D, Latin America, and C, which is the Caribbean. You found that their loss is usually through extreme weather events and erosion, you know, natural causes. Well, there will be some man-made under erosion, but mainly natural, right? But is this part of the world? F, you know, you cut down the trees, you plant something else, you know, and there you are, you can see. Not so much to natural causes, all right? Oceania, natural causes. Same with Latin America and the Caribbean. And if you look at Southeast Asia alone, now focusing on Southeast Asia, now just look at Myanmar. They cut down mangroves, they grow rice. That's the biggest factor. Eastern Indonesia, the green one, oil palm. We mentioned oil palm just now, right? Then we mentioned Eastern, so this is Western Indonesia. Eastern Indonesia, you see this blue color here? Aquaculture. Just these three alone. The blue, aquaculture in Eastern Indonesia, Western Indonesia, the oil palm, and in recent years, the rice cultivation. So in Southeast Asia, you can see that's a lot of loss there. Okay, we have covered, I think, more or less what you wanted to talk about. Mangroves. You now go to the next major section on protection and on restoration and on planting, right? Now we look at mangroves as a kind of ecosystem in reducing risks at the coast. They are somewhere in the middle here. I mean, if you talk about very high risks there, initial risks is very high. Then, of course, you use various kind of measures like zonation, building codes. You know, you can only take off a certain risk. You only have very little risks at the end. If you reduce load, in fact, you evacuate or you put up seawalls, dikes, and levees like that. And mangrove is somewhere in here, all right, between this and between that. Right? So somewhere in the middle, all right? And there you are. And the 26 December 2004 tsunami, I went out 9 days after the tsunami. I went to do a survey in sort of Thailand, and later on over the months I went to Aceh, I went to India, following year into India and Sri Lanka. And I was looking, because there was anecdotal evidence that mangroves were protecting villages in the rear of mangrove forests, which slowed down the tsunami waves. Now, some people say yes, and some people say no. And those who say that yes, they protect, include this publication, Denison, Double Gabas, Katarasan, Rajendran from India, Chang, Tanaka from Japan. But these two fellows keep saying no. Kirk and others saying that no, we don't. But what happened was that the the event there provided the watershed for the conservation of mangrove swamp, or mangroves itself, right? So most people say that, well, with that event, the tsunami, it was a watershed to look very seriously at the conservation of global mangroves, which I think was very good. You see, so we go to the next one. Let's see. Now, mangroves reduce wave height. That's true. Like any vegetation or anything out there on the shore, they have the roots there. This is a very simple diagram. There you have the trees are there. The waves come in, they go over the coral reefs. The sort of wave height are reduced, right? They don't touch the buildings here. Now, if there are no coral reefs here, no trees, etc., the waves will come in and whack it out. Very simple. All right, fair enough. This is elementary and simple understanding. But I think to go beyond that simple understanding, you got to understand that the waves as they come in, they got different wave height. And it depends on the topography, on the slope, on the bathymetry, the water depth, or the tidal phase at that time. And the distance they have to travel through the mangroves. Now, these here all belong to mangroves. Basically, distance or the width for the wave to travel to mangrove. Density and spacing of trees depends on height and size of trees, depend on age of trees, depend on the mangrove species. All right, mangrove species have different area roots, different height, depending on the maturity. Right, so these are very detailed things. If you want to go to look at, to what extent they can reduce the wave height, well, you have to take all this into account. All right, the distance that we travel through, that's the width, the slope coming in here, the density and spacing of trees, the mangrove species, etc. Okay, so these are the things. But mangroves can act as wave buffer. Publication and experiments done in the lab in a few studies have shown the effectiveness of mangroves, all right? And the evidence point that a mangrove can therefore reduce height of wind and swell waves over relatively short distances by 13 to 66% over a 100 meter of mangroves. And a review by Kotchat et al. 2008 and other studies showed that mangroves can be a significant buffer to waves up to 4 meters. And this is this diagram. I emphasize here mangrove forests. Biotic, and look very carefully, tsunami waves less than 4. This big triangle, considerable effect can reduce. Beyond that, cannot. I agree. I've been to the field in Aceh where the tsunami height is 15 meters and above. No, you cannot. When you go to other places, yes, I agree, it's about 4 or 5 meters, all right, effectively. Okay, so I went to a field to check this thing out, all right, and I agree with this table. And as we mentioned earlier on, mangrove, to keep up with sea level, you need what they call sedimentation, right? Now, if you have accommodation of space of soil inputs here, all right, this is a potential space for them to have the soil, right? You have, and if sea level rise, this material must be deposited here. If materials are not deposited here, you cannot keep up with sea level rise. So you need soil inputs, all right? You got to put in new soil. The soil has to come from something, all right? And when you look at this whole thing about mangrove protecting your coast, they are natural ecosystem. And these natural ecosystem like your beach ridges, sand dunes and others, they are effective barriers against many types of natural disasters. And there's a kind of sort of general term to refer to this. We call them EBA, ecosystem-based adaptation. That was the older term. A newer term is now called NBS, nature-based solution. And this is a quotation that I gave in Planet Prepared 2008, page 63. You know, there are a couple of paragraphs I wrote inside there. Okay, so you can go down and have a look at this thing. I was in where was it? In Netherlands. Yes, I was in Netherlands in 2009, and to observe one of these so-called EBA, right? And the EBA all become part of what we call the living shorelines, the science and the management of nature-based coastal protection, right? The living shorelines. And what are living shorelines? They don't even involve vegetation, but involve sand. The biggest one in Holland. It was implemented, ready by, I was there in 2009. I took the picture on the coast. This was the poster there, and was ready by, this is in Dutch, ready by 2011 to build a safer coast, all right? And this was from the air, all right? You can see this is 21.5 million cubic million 21.5 million cubic meters of sand in a single location at plus 5 MSL, and it can last like 20 years for the tides and the wind and the waves to push along the entire coast of Netherlands, right? And this was what it looks like in 2015. And to this day, it's working, right? And so you can see they're using sand, they can do it. The EBA, it's also part of what we call the SAGE, System Approach to Geomorphic Engineering, where the number one, there are 6 of them, 6 techniques. The number one vegetation alone, it's your green one, mangroves, all right, or any other vegetation. And to the hard one, which is a bulkhead. Then you have the living shorelines, can be aging or can be silt, and then you have become the hard one, breakwater, revetment, and then bulkhead. So from the very green to softer techniques to the gray and very hard measure. Now this is the basic 6 types of SAGE, which is a shorter form of the long version. System Approach to Geomorphic Engineering, where there are 12, all right? So the 6 just now we mentioned here: vegetation, aging, silt, breakwater, revetment, bulkhead. So if you want to know the details, go to this. And in America, there is an example. I show you a living shoreline, right, using mangroves at Sanibel in Florida. This is south of what you call Tampa, yeah, of this city called Tampa. South of Tampa, go to this island here. There you are. You can see the mangroves here. Then they put some sort of metal here, shells and metal here. Right? So this is SAG. Okay. You can see also SAG in Singapore. Mangrove engineering. Now, yeah, I told you just now to look at Pulau Tekong. So Singapore Island is here. This is eastern part. Pulau Tekong is the easternmost island. It's a military island. And basically there, Changi is here. The project is here. All right. And what they have is the coast is eroding here. Okay, the mangrove coast is eroding. So what they do is first you put in sort of biodegradable sacks of mud or material here. That's important. You put in rocks here. You put in 2 types of mangroves, mangroves that can grow here, reproduce very quickly. The more sturdy mangroves are put out here, and then you put a barrier of mangrove post, right? So this is what it looks like. And this is looking from outside here, mangrove posts. The mangroves are growing there, and then all these things, and then the mangroves right at the back, okay? Yeah. So this is an example which you have in Singapore. Planting and restoration, come to planting and restoration. If you're interested in restoration, I think you can't run away from 2 very good books. One is Johin Primavera. She's the #1 person on mangroves in Southeast Asia. She's a Filipino, manual on community-based mangrove rehabilitation. All right, so Primavera. Okay, this is the manual. That one is what they call French translated into English technical guide. All right, zone humid tropical mangrove restoration. So these 2 books, they are available on the internet. Right, you can get them. And whether can you success or you get failures, well, the ground will tell you. I've been out on the ground. This is in Aceh after the tsunami, a few years after tsunami. This is success. This is in Thailand, success. All right, next to bamboo post, and there's a bamboo barrier here. Okay, this is failure. All right. Some parts of Philippines. Why? Because they put this thing in some kind of bamboo or plastic post, didn't work very well. And the other one is seaweeds. I mentioned to you, right? When you have seaweeds all the time, barnacles, mangroves don't grow. Okay, so this is it. Then in restoration, okay, that's the reforestation is just a general term for replanting the trees in the specific areas with various goals. But when you say restoration, it includes reforestation. It includes all activities, as long as we are helping the forest to return to a healthy stage. And of course, there are many factors. Remember that you have to remember in restoration success, it's not just things on the ground, it's also monitoring, and how much costs also involved, cooperation of the inhabitants. If you plant things and inhabitants keep chopping down the trees, removing them, then it's pointless, all right? And what are the main pitfalls? It's interestingly, the main pitfall is that what we call wrong side. Now, if you think this is a good area, flat, muddy, etc., no. Everybody think the mud flats are very good. Mud flats are usually a place where people done very few claims to the land. But the trouble is that they're actually too saturated with water for roots to source enough oxygen to grow. So if you go around sticking on these plants like here, they don't grow. Yeah, they grow for a while and then they die. 2, wrong species. Yeah, because these are the propagules, Rhizophora propagules. And people like to use it as a popular mass planting, mobilize the local community, go out, and plant all these things. No, Rotary Club, I call it Rotary Club style. You go up there and plant, but no, because You stick into the ground, after a while they all die. So you have to use other species, Avicennia marina or Sonarachia alba, but you have to grow them beforehand, you know. So the other one is you don't have sites available for planting. Former mangrove areas converted to fish and fish ponds, shrimp ponds, those are better sites, but they are not readily available. People still own them, they want to give up the land, you know, things like that. Then the other one is after you plant, you must monitor, right? You should make sure that people don't go and take away or chop down or remove, all right? Or animals or anything, you know, so you got to monitor, right? And the other thing is when you got to get your community involved. You have to put in the needs of the community, local community. You have to find ways to make conservation pay off for them. They may not like conservation much as the scientists and politicians or climate change people say. They did not like it because to them, there are other important needs, all right? So you got to make them part of the conservation. So this is not an easy job. Replanting has been success in areas I've found. I told you in that conservation area where they harvest the mangroves for wood chips. Yeah, replanting in Papua itself. The Bulgaria, Genorrhizia, and Rhizophora micronata, which is the fastest growing. You see, Rhizophora, you see the roots all sticking out. They look as though they are tilting, but they are not. They're still firmly, plenty of roots below it. Right? So this is it. And restoration in the post-tsunami, May 15, my first visit to Aceh. On the left-hand side, Lupang on the west coast, mangrove restoration. East of Lambada Lok on the north coast, restoration of Rhizophora stylosa, Rhizophora apicalata, syrup species, you know, etc. So you have to make sure that you got to have the correct species, right? And then restoration in other smaller area on Bangkiang, on Koh Samui, where the line of bamboo poles to act as a wave shelter and to protect and enclose the planting which has failed. So you see, the bamboo poles are here to prevent the waves from coming in. And the mangroves are planted behind the barrier. All right. This is in Jakarta, this one and this one. The center, C center, Tama Wisata. The only program in Jakarta created by Lady Sri Lila Muniwati with about 100 hectares. 50 hectares have been planted by volunteers, and of course much money is needed, donation. There's a boardwalk here. You can go to mangroves and you look very carefully. This is interesting. The planting module, right? When you think of, you know, just putting it, no, they're using this is bamboo, strips of bamboo, make into a basket, put your mangrove in, then put it into the soil. And this will disintegrate, all right? So that's a very good way, you see? You see. So when mangroves sort of needs help, you know, from people, all right, because they need a little help from people to restore the right condition. This approach, it's called ecological mangrove restoration. And on the coast of Java in Indonesia, Wetland International workers built semi-permeable dam to stop sediments from washing away, allowing the seafloor to rise just enough for mangroves to grow back. In Guinea-Bissau, workers broke dikes around abandoned rice field to restore tidal flow. Avicennia and Rhizophora propagules from the nearby forest will then wash through the sites and it start to grow more successfully. Modular planting. This is the last one I'm coming to. Now, I have also been thinking about mangrove planting, but I can't plant it in Singapore. So I have to plant it in my own garden, experiment with it and modular planting. And the first of this one, I would say a basic idea like this, like webinar, coastal protection measure, mangroves, using mangroves, sort of gave a presentation in 2019 at the University of Trent when I was there, right? And then I also say something in New Scientist in 2010, a new method of large-scale modular planting mangroves, complemented by the addition of sediments is another option that should be considered. Mangrove can be grown on non-muddy substrate, including sand, gravel, coral flats, blah, 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 and even on the borders of some sea defenses, all right? Basically, what does this modular planting involve? It's large scale. It's fairly large scale to meet the needs of coastal locations. It's not just small scale, you plant a few at a time. Two, modular in the sense that this is comparable to Lego set. Kids play with Lego set and they fix, and you fix up something. So modular is in that sense the Lego set. It adds up, faster. It will be faster because we are using not just going and put the thing in the substrate with your hands. We are bringing in larger things into the soil there, the substrate, using wooden sledges. And then these are modules we can anchor by wooden pegs or sticks if necessary. And they are, of course, suitable for many coastal types, not confined to muddy sand. And this is what I did it in my own garden. Now, this is a 1 meter triangle. All right. This is a 1 meter straight one. So if you look at it, there are three here. 3 mangroves sitting. There are 2. Right. These are, I grow one by one at the same time. So in various what you call suitable material with soil material, and then you put it in here. So you can see. So if you put one of this triangle, you are planting 3 at a time, right? You put these 2 sticks, you're putting 2 at a time. It's not 1 at a time. So this is called large scale. All right. And they are space-fitting shapes. So this is a triangle. You can make other shapes. And we have compressed sediments inside here, self-destructive, form part of the sediments. You can add nutrients and sediment later on. All right. And this is a layout. You put in like that, all right? Triangle, or you can put in this thing. And your triangle is inside there. That's a polygon. There, you see? The straight one has been used by IOC. All right. The reason why I say we need layout is because of the wave direction coming in. All right. Depending on your wave, all right, coming in, you want some protection. So this is the reason. So these are only examples. Okay. And then modular planting in effect is development. Why? Because you are moving the levels of development for villages to, in terms of where the materials are to be sourced, adapted, or manufactured. You may have small machine shops to produce the modules. More skills, all right, are included. And when the mangroves are fully grown, may be opportunities for ecotourism. And basically, in terms of a timeline, we talk about 10, 20 years. its increasing level of development opportunities for villages, bringing many benefits. Short-term, long-term benefits. I don't have to go through. Provides employment, restore degraded coasts, improve biodiversity, low-cost protection, offers coastal protection, adaptation to sea level rise, important carbon sink, supplementary or emergency food supply, and it's a no regrets measure. Planting mangroves, even when the other things you don't like, it is something like no regrets. You don't regret when you plant mangroves, all right? And here I always advocate Avicennia marina as the ideal species because this is the widest latitudinal range, seaward, landward margin, opportunistic colonization. It grows in all kinds of subsoil tolerance. This is from my garden. This is from the field. All right, there you are. And now, somewhere between 2009 to 2014, I did put a poster at a conference, called Proposed Modular Mangrove Planting. And this was for Bangladesh for the bills. As I know, the bills are the local depressions and where they plant rice, but the bills can be raised. At that time, I was thinking, maybe the bills are the one that can be used for, protecting the coast. And I was thinking of things like this, all right? Protecting the coast. So there you are. This was one of the proposals I made a long time ago, okay? And then subsequently, I put a proposal to what do you call the MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology in 2014. And I won a prize, the Judge's Choice Award. You got no money, just a certificate. And for those who are interested, you can get a revised copy of the proposal from me, all right? It's always available and you can read it. And then I come now to the end note. Why do I want to put the end note? I want to put in the end note for a good reason, put in the proper perspective for what I'm saying today. All right, because at the end of the day, we are talking about sea level rise, isn't it? Apart from the food we can get from the mangroves. We are somewhere here now, all right? So sea level rise has risen faster in recent years, as we have. 2050, the scenario doesn't matter too much, he says. 2100 scenario matters a lot, all right? Sea level rise. I won't be around here, I may be around here for a while. I'm 78 years old now. Hopefully I want to go around 2050 if I can, just before that. But definitely, but you younger people, you have here, this is your problem. The sea level rise. The sea level rise, let's talk about sea level rise. Sea level rise basically, the adaptation by IPCC say that you can protect, you can accommodate, and you can retreat. In the latest IPCC, it says that, well, apart from that, no response is also one way. Protection, accommodation, we say yes. Advance, we also have one. And the other one, of course, is the ecosystem-based system, right? The EBA, the mangroves you're talking. What is very important is in the report by IPCC is this diagram. The sea level rise challenges the timing of adaptation implementation. And if you look very carefully at what we are talking about, what I have been talking so far is ecosystem-based adaptation. It looks hopeless, you know why? Because it says you only have 15 years. Measures with long life society legacy, 15 years. So am I talking rubbish? Well, I have to accept that we are facing 15 years. But I'm saying this diagram is also incorrect. This diagram did not go through because it only tell you that you relocate, you have protected measures, levees, the seawall and those that. you know, but it didn't go through the entire continuum of SAGE, right? I think there's a lot of scope to be look into that, and I think we can increase the 15 to maybe 50. All right, the 100, I think you got to take the hard measure. All right, so this is what my thinking is at the moment. How am I going to improve on this? Last but not least, I give you what I call the most haunting and prophetic image I ever come across IPCC. I was shown this before the report was published. I wrote to them, this very prophetic, haunting image. Why? Because I'm here already, you know. This is my line. Some of you are on this line. My grandchildren are on this line. My children are actually on this line. All right? I'm on this. So if you look at this, my grandchildren, my gosh, you know. And the only way the things can change is when you have mitigation adaptation choices are made today. How are we going to make that? I leave that to you, right? In the context is what I say today. And this is why I put here in red words, our future climate. And the last diagram gives me a bit of hope. I saw this coconut tree on an island in Southeast Asia. All right. And I asked myself, how did this coconut tree take this right angle bend, make another right angle bend, and became a coconut tree? Was it natural? I think no, it can't be. Somebody pulled it, you know, want to make it cosmetic or ornamental and did it again another time. And I say, where there's a will, there is a way. All right. So I end here. All right. Okay.
Thank you so much, Professor Wong Popo. You really make our World Ocean Day today very exciting and interesting. I think that we need to look into your thought and concept and how you come up with the conclusion today, which is very frightened also for our new generation. We a bit behind this above the time, but I think we could give you another
no problem.
20 minutes.
No problem.
Until 1 o'clock. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I would like to invite participants to kindly raise any question and also any comments that will be very useful. We are going to have this event registered under the UN as well. So you could follow up a presentation of our speaker in the UN website, and other people can also have a look. So this will be a great work, and I think that we could bring this up to the expert consultation meeting in Laos, PDR, in October as well. Okay, now I invite a participant to kindly ask any question, please. I like to confirm with Professor Popo, because I also was with the tsunami in 2005, and I indeed confirmed that the mangrove can also prevent tsunami at the low height at some of the schools in Phang Nga province, south of Thailand. And that reduced the speed, reduced the power of attacking the school in those area. So that one is confirmed. For other things, I think that we have tried during my terms at NACA to obtain funding for the pilot project, but people are working on mangrove plantation, but not the same as this concept, because they are doing on general way and do not have a kind of education and participation with local community or scientists or academic institution to understand more, like what Professor Popo has guided us. So I think that this is very useful, and maybe we have to think about how we could invest on these kind of things, especially the big project. I don't know whether the Pacific Island or in the country like Maldives or others may be interested in this kind of things. Professor Popo have not yet been come to Sundaban, right? Bangladesh.
Not really, but I was in Karachi port itself, so it's not part of Sundaban. Yeah, I was in Karachi port. I did see some of the mangroves there. I went to see the mangroves in Karachi because I was there many years ago, you know. And
if you have time next year, before I complete my term, I would like to invite you to come.
yeah, okay, no problem.
Okay.
Okay. I think my initial thoughts and also the project or the meeting which are going to have in Laos, that is why I asked that CIRDAP come up with some kind of pilot in terms of either a site, in terms of a village, in terms of a community, whatever you want to call it. And we can put in a few things there, you know, apart from mangroves. We don't just have mangrove planting, we can have mangrove, we can have maybe aquaculture, we can maybe have new types of raised settlements or houses, you know, all kinds of things, you know. And as a kind of project to see how things we can help the people to adapt to changing climate and also to sea level rise.
Yes, we plan to do so, and
Okay,
we have we have June, July, August, September for preparation,
good,
and we'll come up with the pilot one.
Good.
Yeah, okay.
Prof. Popo, may I have a question?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Hassan from the Iran, in north of Iran. Thank you for your nice presentation about the blue carbon and how to can capture the CO2 in the environment and the climate change, mitigation of the climate change. Do you have the experience about the phytoplankton in the ocean or in the sea about the capture of the carbon and going to the blue carbon or not? Just you are experienced about
the blue ocean. The part I know is the mangroves play a very important part. The mangroves, the soil itself, that part is more important, you know, rather than the ocean, the water part. You know what I mean? So it's the vegetation. I understand plays important. The watery part. That's what we call the blue carbon, the watery thing, the mud, etc. That is stored inside there, rather than the carbon in the ocean itself. That part, the carbon in the ocean itself, in fact, increase the acidity, you know, of the ocean, and that's why it's not so good for the what they call marine creatures with shells, you know. That's not so good. That's all I know roughly. Those are the two general things. The details in terms of numbers, I don't have at the moment. I will have to check it up and give it to you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay.
না না আমাদের মিটিং চলছে পুরো এর মতো মিটিং আমাদের মিট করে দিব
I may want to add a note of caution here also. You see, many countries have different species of mangroves. And I think the pure biologists will always say that, we don't want invasion of species. All right, they want the local species. But sometimes the local species, well, they are there, but they may not be so good. So if you look at the webinar, I advocate one species which is very good and which is very versatile, Avicennia marina. All right. So when you don't have Avicennia marina, and if you want to plant Avicennia marina, the biologists will say, no, don't bring that fruit. Don't plant this thing in the country because you are introducing a foreign species. That's one obstacle I have. I mean, because they want to bring in the local species, which I think, yeah, you can, but it may not be suitable, you see, in terms of in the long run, because Avicennia marina is very good. Well, any other questions or thoughts?
We have Dr. Chai Achirya. Dr. Chai, are you available?
Acharya, yeah, I know.
Chai,
Acharya,
IOI Singapore. IOI
I
Singapore.
know. That is the IOI in charge of the IOI here.
All right. Well, if there is nobody want to ask any more question live, you can place your question in the chat box, and we will provide it for Professor
I don't see questions there. No question.
Yeah.
You just say
Okay.
informative presentation. Thanks.
Yes.
No questions.
Yeah, we would love to receive also the PowerPoint so that we can share with many our committee and partners, experts, because this is very interesting presentation I have seen from you. Also, we would like to have Huren disseminate this to the UN event, and tonight there will be a live with the UN Secretary General in the night time.
I think Huren has to give me what they call a Dropbox. This is a very big PowerPoint.
Big PowerPoint.
Yeah, so a Dropbox. Then I give it to you, I can't send it in the email. It won't go through.
All right. Okay.
Give me a Dropbox. I can drop into the box.
All right. I'd like to turn it to Huren, please, for conclusion.
So there is another question from Ahmad Zafar, Philippine. He wants to know that if there is a study about mangroves and microplastics.
Oh, it's very specific. Mangrove and microplastics. Well, as far as I know, there's a lot of plastics that float up, I think, in some mangroves. Microplastics, I have no idea yet. I haven't gone into that detail, mangrove and microplastic. Microplastics is also something very new, you see. And some are saying that, some of these creatures, they are eating it. Many are eating it, this microplastic, but some say that some algae or some other things sort of can get rid of it. So we still don't know what's the extent. Mangrove or microplastics, I don't know any study.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
All for joining the webinar. I hope you will join again on 13 June, another webinar. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, and have a nice day, weekend.
Before we leave, can we all take a group photo, Uren?
Okay.
Is it possible?
Yes, sir.
Can you
Sir,
show
can you?
show all of us?
Okay. Sir. এভাবে দেখাচ্ছে কেন ভাই?
You got it?
Sir, wait a minute, sir.
Dr. Vikas, I think keyboard
আর নিচে প্রিন্ট স্ক্রিন নিচে এখন ওটা
printer মধ্যে পড়ে নিয়ে নেই।
আচ্ছা
Printer. Okay, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a nice day, and let's celebrate World Ocean Day today together.
Yeah, thank you. Yep.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye.